All right, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, this is the Daily Sporting coming to you live with some fantasy football playoff help. We are getting started at 12 o'clock today, and I already see my first question. With it being start two, Josh Jacobs, Justin Jefferson, and Corey Davis. Honestly, Corey Davis has been on fire the last couple of weeks, and someone that I have really enjoyed starting just because he's been blowing up. Last week, he was one of the best receivers in the game. Let me just pull up. I want to pull up their scoring and stats real quick. Okay. So you said Corey Davis, Justin Jefferson, and Josh Jacobs. So Corey Davis is playing Jacksonville. He scored 16 points 2 weeks ago, 10 points last week, 2 weeks, 16 points 3 weeks ago, 10 points 2 weeks ago, 35 points last week. Corey Davis has been trending up. I know AJ Brown's been dealing with some injuries. I think he's a really interesting play. Let me just pull up Jefferson real quick. Um, Jefferson is coming off of two big games and they're paying Tampa. I just can't see a situation where they're not going to be having Jefferson involved throughout the whole game. So to me, and he's been one of the best players in the game. So no matter what, Jefferson is definitely one of the two. And then for Jacobs, I know Jacobs is going to be back this week. Let me just double check their matchup. They're playing the Colts, which is a really tough matchup. I probably would, if this is PPR, like 1 point PPR, I would definitely be going Corey Davis and Justin Jefferson as my two plays here. And then you have JD McKissick or Mike Davis. The thing about the Carolina Panthers this week is that most of their wide receivers are inactive. It seems like, other than Robbie Anderson, so it would tend to give a good opportunity for Mike Davis. But over his last couple of games, Mike Davis really hasn't shown that much. Whereas JD McKissick, whenever he's in the lineup, especially in a full PPR, I would probably lean more toward a JD McKissick just because he's been really safe over these last couple of weeks with Alex Smith, behind center, and now with Gibson being out this week, I really like JD McKissick as being a solid play for you coming into this pivotal matchup. If you guys have any additional questions, feel free to drop them down here. We answer all questions for fantasy football. For some reason, it just seems like my setup here has been changed from a little bit from what I'm used to, guys. So excuse me as I get some of these other things going. One thing that I did notice here, and which I have up, is the inactives and actives. I know that Zeke Elliott was someone that was questionable coming into the day, and he's going to be active. He was having some calf issues. I think that he does have a decent matchup, but he's not someone that I would probably be wanting to lean on or expecting too much from. He hasn't really been the same since Dak Prescott got hurt and was out for the season. So he's not someone that I really expect a lot from. Kiki QT is someone that I love across the board from daily to season long. Kiki this week is going to be probably the number one wide receiver for Deshaun Watson. We already saw that Cooks is out this week with believe a head injury. They're already missing Fuller, so they don't have a lot of options there in the passing game. And if you look at the numbers that Kiki put up last week, I'll just go down for you and bring it up. But Kiki last week had nine targets for 8 catches and 141 yards versus the Indiana Colts. So the Colts are really good defense. No problem at all, bro. I got you anytime. But the Colts are give us a follow because we definitely do this every single week, and we are getting ready to cover basketball content. We have that already live on our YouTube page, so it's definitely something to check out and to follow us on down below. I dropped all of our platforms that we're on. We're on IG, Twitter, Facebook, YouTube. So definitely give us a follow. We make sure we get everyone covered. But like I was saying before, the situation in Houston is really set up for Kiki to come out and to really be a monster. But the problem is that he's facing that Bears lineup, which is a little bit scary. So target-wise, he should be able to, even in a bad matchup like this, get a good enough volume where in PPR leagues he's going to be able to, give you enough points to justify a start. And I think that's one of the biggest things that you really got to look into and be aware of. Now, let me see here. Okay, so that's going like this, and I'm sorry, we're having a little difficulties. I haven't done one of these live solo in a long time, but so that's something definitely that I'm looking at. Another person that we saw that's inactive this week is Christian McCaffrey. Now, with Christian McCaffrey, there was talks about him coming back and playing, but then during practice, he actually had a quad tighten up on him. And what happened is after the quad injury, he just, literally they put him on the shelf. They stopped talking about it, and it's interesting to see what's possibly going to happen going forward. And I don't know if next week he's going to come back. I'm hoping that he does come back next week because a lot of us who invested our number one picks in the Christian McCaffrey would really like to have him for the playoffs. But first week, it doesn't look so good with having him on board. Another player that we see that's going to be active this week is James Conner. James Conner was someone that, he had been out with COVID the last couple of weeks, last 2 weeks to be specific, and he's going to be back and someone that I think you can start in your lineup, and you have to actually start thinking about, is that going to affect some of these pass catchers with the Pittsburgh Steelers? Since James Conner's been out, they've been throwing the ball over 40 times a game. It's been a lot of Ben Roethlisberger involved, spreading it out to his wide receivers. So what kind of impact are we going to see with James Conner coming back? Because we know that Pittsburgh traditionally is a team that likes to run the ball. So I'm very interested to see how this dynamic plays with Conner coming back. How does that affect Juju? Because if you ask me, in comparison to all the wide receivers, I feel like Juju is probably the least stable of the big three. I think Claypool is just such an athletic freak that every single game he has that possibility of putting up big numbers. And I feel like Washington has developed a great rapport with Ben Roethlisberger, where he just knows to get him the ball. And then Johnson, I think, is emerging as almost the number one. So between all four of these different guys, I think it's a very interesting situation, and one where with James Conner coming back, you have to watch and be worried about with Juju. Now, in this situation with Washington, I think it's really dicey because he was dealing with illnesses over the last couple of weeks, but there's nobody left to play running back, as we just saw Myles Gaskin as out this week with COVID. So Washington may be someone that, in a desperation play, I would put him in there. But if you have someone that's slightly comparable, like if you tell me Wayne Gallman or Washington, I'm going to say Wayne Gallman. But the real question comes down to, who are you playing over him in daily? I don't know if it's someone that I would risk it for, but if we're talking about for season long and I'm dealing with some of these immediate injuries, like let's just say I was a Myles Gaskin owner, or if I was someone that had Brandon Cooks and I have a guy like Washington that I can get off of the waiver wire, I would then possibly be interested in him just because he's going to get more volume than most of these other guys. But I think if you generally have a better play, I would go that way. But again, this is just a dicey situation because we don't know what exactly kind of offense they're going to be running here. I think this might give a shot for Devontae Parker to actually be someone that puts up some decent numbers and gets some good burn because they're going to be so lacking in the backfield. But I honestly, and against the Chiefs, who doesn't have a good secondary, it'll be interesting. And I just don't know. It really just depends on who you have, and I'm not going for him in daily. So in daily lineups, he's not someone that I wouldn't be investing in. But that's my take on it, Dave. If you want to say who you're thinking about starting him over, definitely drop a line. But I think he's a desperation play, not someone that I want to go with. But if I have to, I have to. And he's not someone that I recommend in daily just because it's such a volatile situation. If Swift's healthy, I'm playing him just because he's already starting to show that he's the primary workhorse for the Lions. If we look at what Adrian Peterson's been doing, barring like maybe 2 or 3 really good runs where he's gotten out of the pocket, he's really just a short yardage type guy, especially in PPR. I think Swift is going to be a good play regardless of the matchup, just because they're going to be using him a lot. So let me just pull him up just so I can give you a better idea. I just want to see who he's facing so I can give you the best analysis possible. Swift is facing Green Bay. Oh yeah, the Green Bay defense is nothing to be scared about. Nothing to be scared about. I definitely start Swift in this matchup, and I expect Swift to actually excel. No problem at all, Cody. Make sure you give us a follow. We're doing this for the rest of the season. We're gonna keep people covered for week 15, week 16, and week 17. Even though I know most people play championships week 16, I'm on a couple of buys this week, so it's been easy. There's one team that I got to make sure that I finish setting before kickoff happens. So about 12:45, I'm going to be kicking out. But if you guys have any questions, feel free to drop them. I'll give you the full analysis that we can get. This is no super chat. This is no donations. I'm going straight with your guys' questions for free right here for you today. And while I'm doing that, also I'm going to be breaking down just some of the daily lineups that I've been looking at that I've seen that actually make some good sense and some good plays for you guys. Who would you play? Russell Gage. See, now Russell Gage is interesting because there's no Julio Jones. And while Russell Gage hasn't scored any touchdowns, Robin, he's someone that I just think with the volume that you have, it's going to be a really interesting play. The Falcons aren't playing a team that I really think that they're facing the Chargers. The Chargers don't have a defense. Like, look at what the Patriots did last week versus the Chargers. They're not someone that you really have to fear. So I definitely would say Russell Gage is someone that if I don't really have many other options because of his volume upside, I think he's worth it. He should be getting at least a 5 to 10 target range this week. So he's someone that if you have the opportunity to start, he's definitely someone that I would be starting. Chris Godwin or Giovanni Bernard. Well, we know that there's no mixing, so Gio is going to be the primary ball handler. But let's look at what he's done scoring wise in his last couple of games. He's 12 rushes for 30 yards with 2 catches, 8 rushes for 32 yards, but he's faced some tough defenses. And then we're talking about Godwin. Let me just see what Godwin's done. Godwin's facing Minnesota. I would go Godwin. I think that one you have to go Godwin. Godwin's in a good matchup. Gio Bernard, other than a couple of weeks ago, he hasn't really done much with the role, even though he's faced some tough running defenses. I just, especially with no Burrow there, I just don't trust it. I don't think he's good enough. I think that there's a good chance that Dallas beats the Cincinnati Bengals this week. And I just don't think that Giovanni Bernard over a guy like Godwin would make too much sense for you just in this particular instance. But again, any other questions, feel free to bring them on, guys. We're taking all callers, as they say. One big thing that I'm definitely looking forward to, though, is some daily fantasy sports. It's something that I love to do here. I like to go down all the players that I'm looking at and show some of the lineups that I'm doing. So I didn't get a chance to build my lineup this week, so I'm going to show it off. Robin, quick question here. Todd Gurley. Todd Gurley is scaring me. I think from what I last saw, Todd Gurley may be available. Let me just pull this up. Todd G. Okay, he's going to be playing. Last week, he didn't do much. This week, he's facing the Chargers. Last week, he had 8 rushing attempts for 16 yards and 1 catch for 4 yards. So Todd Gurley was not someone that you really feel confident in starting, especially after last week. The week before that, he didn't play. He had 0. The week before that versus the Chargers, he had 3.9. So if you look at over his last 4 games, versus the Saints, the Saints killed him. He didn't play versus Las Vegas. The Chargers is a decent matchup, but the question is, how much do you trust him? How much volume do you expect him to get? It looks like to me that they're running Ito Smith a lot more, and that's becoming more of a timeshare situation. So it's really hard to justify putting Gurley into a lineup unless you don't really have much of a situation or much of options other than Gurley. I'm in a situation where I may have to play Gurley just because I lost Fuller, and a lot of my other guys just aren't showing up. I maybe have Gore this week. Gore's an interesting guy considering he's coming back from the concussion. I do think he's going to get a decent workload, but can you bank on him? I just don't know. I've been trying to fill that spot since Fuller's been down, and I didn't get a chance to get Kiki in that league. So I'm in a situation where I'm debating Gurley. I wouldn't play Gurley if I didn't have a choice. He's a desperation of desperations. That's my opinion on Todd Gurley this week. All right. So right here we have the contest coming up. Last week, I tell you, the one week I went big with the $22 league. I definitely didn't get much love, but consistently I've been getting my money back. I've been playing even. So this week I'm gonna do my lineup live with you guys as you guys bring your questions in, just so you guys can get an idea of what I'm thinking and how I'm running the board. So quickly, I like to build from the bottom up. So defensively, just out of these guys, I don't trust the Seattle defense, even if they are facing the Jets, Philly, Indiana, Las Vegas, Washington, San Francisco, Arizona. Honestly, I think for the money, I'm going to roll with the Giants defense just because the Giants defense has been really good. Kyler Murray's been struggling. And I think that this is a game where the Giants could actually win. And I think they can put up decent numbers. And defensively, they've been one of the best teams at stopping the run, which is one of the things that that the Cardinals love to do. There's no Andy Isabella this week, if I see correctly. So it's going to be a situation where, it's only going to be the main guys available for Murray pass catching. So I'm just going to be leaning towards the Giants in this one, and I think that they'll be able to slow down and shut down these Cardinals. Now, on the quarterback wise, I think we're starting to see Murray's slide really show up here in daily, as he's been reduced down all the way to 8,000, and he's having what they technically would call a plus matchup versus the Giants, even though the Giants defense, like you saw, opposition ranks 4. So I don't think it's going to really be a good day for Kyler Murray. I think it's going to be a bad day for Deshaun Watson. I think in this situation, we don't really know how much usage Tannehill is going to get, because this is a game where Derrick Henry could really just blow up and finish the game off and not really give Tannehill the opportunity to really go out there and play. I think this Matt Ryan game might be an interesting one to play. So I think that he's someone that might be an interesting start. Daniel Jones, how good is he feeling? Quarterback will play. Only ended up missing a single game. They're the backup. See some snacks. Feeling aggravation. Yeah, I don't really see him being a great play. Honestly, at quarterback, I just Aaron Rodgers is number one. I'm gonna roll with Pat Mahomes just because Pat Mahomes is my guy. I think he's a top scorer, and I just love me some Pat Mahomes. Yeah, I have him on all my other fantasy teams that's not playing, so that's what I'm used to. Now, Eckler is someone that I like. Mostert Taylor's been beasting, and Swift is going good. Oh, where is Miles Sanders? They've been really good against stopping the run. Melvin Gordon, I think that's an interesting situation. Gallman's been pretty solid, actually. I actually like Gallman, so I'll roll with those 3 running backs as 3 solid guys. And then wide receiver wise, what do I have? I have 6,800 or 68. Yeah, 6,800 to throw in here. So real quickly, Jefferson is someone that we had spoke about in the start sit. I just, if you look at Jefferson's numbers, not only is he possibly going for rookie of the year, man, but he's going for fantasy football MVP because of where most people got him. I see a lot of teams, if you drafted Jefferson, you probably are sitting in a good position now. If you look at what he's done over these last couple of games, even in his game versus Chicago Bears, which is, a defense that a lot of people shy away from, he put up 135 yards and 8 catches. I think he's been really consistent as far as his output goes, and he's someone that in season long, I'm definitely trusting, and I'm rolling with him today in daily. We also were speaking about Chris Godwin, and Chris Godwin, he's actually had some really good stats over his last couple of games, and I feel like they've been shying away from Antonio Brown and going more towards Gibson and Evans. So I think he's someone in this matchup where they definitely have to win. I think he can have a good game, and there's no Leonard Fournette. So I think this is a situation where you could see them passing the ball a lot more than you would normally expect. So I definitely think that's a good situation. And then I'm going to roll with Kiki because I think Kiki has a ton of upside this week. Kiki QT. So what do I got here? I got 6,700 left for tight end. Tight ends. What do we got here? Ooh. Hawk's been so solid. And I just love Hawk. Okay, so now I got 700 left. Now let's see what I could do here. I got Jefferson, Godwin, and Kiki. Is there another wide receiver that I possibly would want? Devontae Adams versus Detroit could be really interesting, but at 9,600, that's a lot. Metcalf versus the Jets, I think that's interesting, but I don't really know how that target breakdown is going to go this week. Last week, Metcalf really didn't do that much. If I remember correctly, let me just pull up the stats here. No, I think Metcalf actually had a good game, and it was Lockett that had the bad game. So Lockett had 6 catches for 63 yards last week. So by most instances, he didn't really have that best of a game. But they're so even that it's hard to really roll with them. Now, Calvin Ridley is someone that's interesting to me, and so is Corey Davis. Where's Corey Davis actually set up? Corey Davis is at 6,800 versus Jacksonville. But I have actually money to spare, so maybe if I take out Kiki, right, who's at 56. There's Debo. There's Debo. And Debo, since he's come back, he's been pretty solid. I like the way that they work him. I think Ayuk is the better wide receiver, and we're going to see him used as the number one wide receiver. But I think you're going to see Debo used more as like an extension of the run and on quick plays where they can show his explosiveness. Um, yeah, I mean, I'm just like, but then again, Chicago has everyone they're going to be able to load up on Kiki. So I don't know if maybe I should shy away from him in this matchup because without having Cooks out there to divert some of the coverage, it's going to be a little bit tougher for him. But and Robbie Anderson is the only wide receiver that's fully healthy over there. In Carolina. Oh man, this is tough. Tough. And I have a lot of bargains. Maybe at quarterback, there's something that I could do that's a little bit cheaper that would allow me to get it going. And again, guys, if you have any start sit questions for you, I'm monitoring the chat. So if you have them, send them my way, and I'll be able to help you guys out and get you going for week 14. Again, I'm probably going to be getting off in about the next 10 minutes once I finish this lineup up so I can finish setting my lineups up. But I just want to get on here and make sure everyone's good for the playoffs. And, we're riding out to championship week, man. That's the way I see it. This is the time that you could really separate yourself and put yourself in that final four position where you can make sure you get that bread, because that's what we play here. We don't play just to win. We play to get that bread, that shmoney. Like, we like that shmoney out here, So that's something that I definitely like to make sure I take care of with you guys. This is a little something that I specialize in. I made this little clip in the off season for everyone because we did a lot of mock drafts. We love covering fantasy sports here. So between doing mock drafts, real live reactions, start sit weekly. I'm for fantasy basketball season. I'm going to be doing something similar where I'm going to be breaking down each week what's going on, setting up what happened last week and showing what's going on for this week. For football, we do start sits. For baseball, for basketball also we have mock drafts that are coming up, and some tips videos where I'm going to be breaking down some of the top players and showing some of the pros and cons that each one of them have. But this is something that we did for the beginning of the football season. Check it out. See what you guys think about it. Tell me what you think. That was a little something that I worked on for you guys, and this is the new one that I'm putting in front of the videos. It's a lot shorter, it's a lot sweeter, and I think the main point that I like to show on that for these things is this: I'm here doing this so you guys can win your leagues. Like for me, I'm in 4 money leagues, right? In 3 of them, I made the playoffs. Okay, one of them, I started off with Michael Thomas and I started off with Le'Veon Bell. Okay, so that one was destined to fail. I was 1 game out of the playoffs in that one. And the other two, I lost the two ones that I'm in that are on bye week. I drafted Christian McCaffrey and I drafted Saquon Barkley. Both of those teams got bye weeks. Why does that happen? Because people don't use the waiver wire. People don't pick up the assets that are available and start riding trends. They start thinking, okay, this guy played good for 2 weeks. That's what it's going to be throughout the season. The season is very organic and it has ebbs and flows. And there's players that come up and they have players that go down. Cam Akers to start the season for drafting purposes, everyone loved him. Once the season started, he hurt his rib, and that became a huge timeshare. Cam Akers went down. Then what happened? Towards this end part of the season, Cam Akers is rising back up again, and now Cam Akers is someone that you want on your team for this championship run because now he's taken over. So I think that's one of the big things, and he was dropped in so many leagues that you were able to snag him up and pick him up and get him, and he's someone that I'm relying on, and that I definitely think that is beneficial, and I think those are the things that you got to look at when you're playing fantasy sports, and you try to take advantage of, and that's why these weekly shows that I'm doing them so I can help you guys and show you some of the things that I'm looking at and the plays that I'm getting. Not every single one of them is going to hit, but more often than not they are, and these are things that you're going to just observe and take a look at and be like, this player seems pretty good, but let me see how he does next week and maybe I'll make the move. Or you know what, I have a free spot, I'll see what he does at the bottom of my bench just so I don't miss out. Like Cam Akers, I held at the bottom of my bench for a couple of weeks, and boom, now he's coming in as a beast. I got another start sit question here. Pick two: Taylor, Kamara, or Thielen. Okay, so who do we got here? Half point PPR at that. Okay, I got you, Luscious. So looking at this, Jonathan Taylor, I think that versus the Las Vegas team, that's like almost like a must start. Kamara has been really solid over his last couple of games. But definitely, let me just take a look here. I think that Thielen has begun to really start to fade out with the emergence of Jefferson, and I think that's really setting up for almost like the takeover. Let me just take a quick look at his points. So last week he scored 21. He scored 0 the week before that, 32, 20, and 1 point PPR. You're talking about half point PPR. So you would figure he had 8 catches. That's 4 less points. Honestly, I think I would probably lean more toward Kamara and Taylor in the half point PPR because both are pass catching running backs, so they're going to get their steady workload. Whereas Thielen, it's a situation where one, they could be down and they could be in a shootout, so he's going to get the ball, or two, Tampa Bay has been playing good. They put Tampa Bay away early and he's not really involved. So I think Thielen is a little bit more volatile than Kamara or Taylor, who I definitely think would be solid plays for you at your running back position or even your flex position in half point PPR because they have really good touchdown upside. They get decent catch volume, and they're going to be running the ball. So I think those two guys I would take over Thielen, but I think all three are good plays this week. So you can't go wrong with any one of those three, to be fully honest with you. So your aces either way, but I would say probably Taylor and Kamara would be the two that I would look at. And again, guys, if you have any additional questions, feel free to drop it below. I'm finishing up this lineup and we're getting ready to get out of here. But again, I want to say thank you to everyone for stopping by and joining this live and taking your time to spend it with us. And I hope you guys get the best of luck and you do really well in your fantasy leagues. Let us know who's repping that playoff game this week. Let me know who got the bye week in the comments below. We love to chat you guys out and give you guys some love. I have one team that's playing in the first round, which I have to make a move on because, like I said, Todd Gurley's been trash. I lost Fuller, so I'm in a really sticky situation. It's not looking good for you, boy. But everywhere else, I'm looking solid. So there's that. But fantasy football is like I say to the guys, it's 60% skill, 40% luck. So there's a decent amount of luck involved, but you definitely have to have some skill to get yourself at least in the game. I think Kiki's been the guy that I've been talking about from the jump. I just don't want to roll off him because I do think that this is a good matchup for him. Let me just see if there's someone better than Godwin in this situation that I might be able to start. Let's just pull up Jefferson. Ridley. Yeah, I'd go Ridley. I just love Ridley. Oh, and that's perfect. All right, save that for 2 entries. Boom. So we're in there. So let's break down this quick little lineup that I did for you guys live on here. Showing what I'm thinking. Get you guys ready for your football playoffs, for your fantasy season. It's all in the balance here, boys. I hope you pull this out. We're definitely going to be doing an earlier start sit this week because for week 15, I believe that we have games on Saturday and Sunday. So I may be doing something on Saturday just so we can get you guys set up with the inactives and the actives, show you what's going on, some things to be looking at, and some desperate plays that we might be having. One desperate play this week that we were talking about before is DeAndre Washington. If you have nothing, he may be a guy to play. Speaking of DeAndre Washington, okay, so we have a question here from MSU Baller. We have T. Higgins or DeAndre Washington full PPR. Okay, so let me just pull up what we got here. Now, T. Higgins. What you doing, T? All right. He's playing Dallas. His hamstring is officially active. Questionable. What has he done? He had 10 points versus Miami, 8 targets, 5 catches. Versus the Giants, he had 5 catches for 44 yards. So T. Higgins has been solid, but not spectacular. Versus a Dallas team, I don't know how they're going to play, and I don't think their run game's really good. Dallas' secondary isn't really great. I would say Higgins might be safer. Higgins might be the safer play. But if you're going for a complete shot in the dark wild card with the possibility to do good, that's DeAndre Washington. I just think that the way that Miami plays and the way that Tua plays, if you look at, there was a lot of passes to Gaskins. I could easily see DeAndre Washington getting a nice amount of dump off passes and little runs that he could be a viable play this week. But it's super volatile because he could also not do much because he's coming off of injury as well. I don't think anyone has enough information. Like, no one was going into the week gathering all information about DeAndre Washington. So it's kind of hard to see if you play him or not because there's so many unknowns there. But I would say Higgins is safer because he has a good matchup versus the Cowboys. But if you need the points and you're going for a desperation Hail Mary, I definitely go Washington. Dave, thank you for all the support, man. Over the last couple of weeks, you've been great. I love when you come by. He jumps in the DMs. He asks some questions about his lineup. We love to help you guys out. We love to see you guys win. We're trying to build a family out here. That's the whole purpose of what we do out here. And why I've been doing it every single week is we want to help you guys win. I want to hear some success stories. I've helped people in real life, and now I'm basically taking my talents to the internet and trying to make it happen. Bolt up, man. Hey, you know what? Let's go Bolts. Y'all been having some bad couple of weeks, so y'all need it. Giants have been playing good, so I've been excited. I'm actually going to be watching the Giants game instead of watching Red Zone for once, so I think that's going to be really interesting. No problem, MSU. Give us a follow. We'll be getting you covered for the whole rest of the playoffs. We got fantasy basketball covering. Anything that you guys need, we got you. That's what we like to do out here. We like to be here for the community. We do baseball, basketball, and football. But ladies and gentlemen, I do want to thank you guys for all your time, for your questions, for spending this Sunday with me. I just like to drop this quick little. Definitely give us a follow on Facebook. You get more of the IG content, and you also get more of the YouTube type content on Facebook. But we're going to be giving you more videos on YouTube as we come through the end of this 2020 season for your fantasy football season. We're going to get you geared up for your fantasy basketball and baseball seasons. So we have all of that covered. On IG, we like to cover a lot of the good matchup, bad matchup. So you see that on Facebook, you see that on IG. So that's definitely a place to check us out as well. And on Twitter, you get the rawest and best reactions and the most fun. So that's definitely a good place to check us out. I want to thank everyone again for your time. I hope you guys have a wonderful Sunday. Until next time, I am the talented Mr. Taco. This is the Daily Sporting, and we are out. Peace.